You have listened to all of my advice, all of my tips and tricks, my guidance. You've even had me look at your insurance policy and you've made the changes that I suggested. And now it's summer and you're on vacation and you're in somebody else's vehicle and an accident happens. Are you covered? Does everything that we did even matter? Or was it all for naught? We're going to talk about that today on Monday Morning Lawyer. Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. It's your accident and injury guy, Jobeth Bowers. I'm coming at you from my Elkton office right here at the Courthouse Plaza. I want to thank everybody who came out. There's way too many names to mention for the ribbon cutting on Friday afternoon. Great time was had by all. We totally packed the building, crowded the streets in front of the building, gave away a bunch of tickets to that Ravens-Eagles game. So that was great. And just gave us a good sending off to get things started here with us and the other businesses in the building. So thanks to all who showed their support, who showed up, who were out for that. Really, really great time. Want to let everybody know about an upcoming event. This is not like some big to-do. This is just an opportunity. If you've got old documents, let's say you're doing some spring cleaning or whatnot, and you don't have a great shredder at home, our office is co-sponsoring with a couple of other local businesses a free community shredding event that is upcoming on June 27th at the Singerly Fire Company. There's a shred company that's going to come out. You could bring, it's totally free. Donations to Singerly are accepted, but not required. This is a coordination effort that myself, Steve Simmons, who's a fantastic State Farm agent up in Fair Hill, also has offices over in Bel Air and Aberdeen. The Moon Man, Moon Air, who keeps us up and running, both heat and cool. And then, of course, I've mentioned him before. Those folks over at ServPro, that when we had the issues in this office were boom right here. Those guys sponsoring it too. So if you've got stuff to shred and you want it done right, totally free. 3-hour window, come out. Donations are optional, but we'll get you taken care of with all that shredding on an absolutely free event, June 27th, 2026. So check that out. Come on out to Singerly and get that taken care of on me, basically, because it's myself and the other sponsors who are paying for the shred company, so it could be free for you. So without further ado, today's topic, we are talking about scenarios in which you or a member of your family are a passenger in somebody else's vehicle. That's really what this boils down to. When you go on vacation, you get dropped off at the airport or you park at the airport or whatever it is, and you hop on that plane, you're kind of in no man's land. I know some of us rent vehicles, some of us use transportation that is provided or public transportation, or we've preset up some sort of shuttle service when we go. Obviously, this is different for everybody. Everybody travels differently. Some people I know despise getting on airplanes. Others don't do international. Some are put me on a cruise ship. Whatever it is, you're going to be in all of these scenarios. And again, they're endless. In fact, when it comes to travel, I don't know about you, but I've got a colleague that I trust, my guy, Mike Moyer. I have booked a ton of travel through Mike, and he's really great. And he does land, air, sea, whatever you want, cruises, really great stuff. Feel free to reach out to Mike. He's fantastic. Tell him I sent you. He will hook you up with any of that travel. Wherever it is, you're probably going to end up in somebody else's vehicle. Even if you're in a scenario where you're just going down to the ocean for a long weekend or a week or whatever it is, the likelihood that you're going everywhere in your own vehicle and not taking an Uber or not taking a shuttle bus of some sort at some situation and wondering, hey, am I really covered? Which kind of brings us back to a topic that we've talked about many, many times, because the dealing with insurance in a situation, let's say like a shuttle bus, where there might be a whole myriad of people. Imagine you're on one of those longer kind of charter style shuttle buses or one of the public transportations, let's say in an area like Ocean City. where they've got those that go up and down the boardwalk. Or maybe you've gone to Disney and Disney has the buses that take people from location to location, and you're on this bus with like 50 other people. What happens if there's an accident? And that's, it's a really great question that we get from time to time. It's not an all the time thing, but it is certainly a now time thing as people are embarking on vacations and other journeys and travel wherever they may go. And again, this travel comes in all forms. Sometimes it's legit vacation. Sometimes it's half business, half vacation. It's a let's get away for a long weekend. Again, some by boat, some by air, some by land. Whatever it is, if you are in a motor vehicle, it is highly likely, certainly if you're somewhere within the US, and there are very few specific exclusions, but rare if you're international, where your insurance policy, even though your vehicle might be thousands of miles away, your insurance policy in many instances can cover you when it's needed. Now, what are those situations? Number one, if you're in a vehicle in a jurisdiction that, let's say, does not even have personal injury protection coverage. It's not even an option. It's not on any policy. It's not something anybody in that jurisdiction even ever has offered to them. And there are jurisdictions where this is the case, or PIP is completely optional. Every state, and I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, every state, their insurance laws, their accident laws, each is different from the next. There are certainly some that have some overlap and some similarity, but even states that are side by side, like us, Delaware, Pennsylvania, where we are here in Elkton, we're very close and deal with overlap with both of those states on a very regular basis. The laws in certain areas when it comes to insurance and accidents and how all of this stuff plays out, incredibly different. So imagine this scenario where you're in a state like Georgia, for example, which does not have mandatory personal injury protection, or even Virginia. You've gone to to Williamsburg for a long weekend or even a week, and now you're in an accident on one of those shuttle vehicles. They're not going to have personal injury protection coverage. Yet you went out, you listened to me, whether it be through this podcast or through an insurance evaluation that I've done for free, and you said, yes, that PIP insurance sounds like a great idea. We told a story a couple of weeks ago, probably been over a month now, about somebody who paid very, very little money to quadruple their PIP insurance coverage. So this individual is now in a place that doesn't generally have personal injury protection coverage. During an accident, let's say in one of these shuttle buses or an Uber or somebody else's vehicle, now what? Well, part of that process, your policy follows you. Your policy and the bargain that you made to get those various coverages are going to protect you. So if you are in a vehicle that does not have PIP coverage or does not have as much PIP coverage as you have, let's say you're in a state where PIP is mandatory, but they only offer $1,000 in most scenarios. I don't know that this state does or does not exist, but it's a scenario in which you having more PIP on your policy, which even if you have the baseline 2,500, that's more than 1,000. If you're in a state that requires 1,000 and only 1,000, you can get the excess from your policy, and you can do so in an absolutely no fault scenario that will not raise your rates at all. It won't raise your rates. You won't lose discounts. You won't get dropped. Your classification as a risky driver or a non-risky driver is going to stay exactly the same. In fact, the legislature in Maryland has a laundry list within the PIP statute of basically enumerating every sneaky way that an insurance company can classify an element of your rate and say you can't touch any of these things. And it's a lengthy list, like a full page of you can't do this, you can't take that, you can't change this, whatever it is. You are protected making this claim. So if you listen to me and you have a carrier that will give you $10,000 in PIP coverage and you bumped it up, like our friend that we talked about a month or so ago, no matter what vehicle you're in, if you're injured in an accident, whatever PIP they do have, which could be anywhere between 0 and sometimes a number that's higher, if that PIP is lower than the PIP that you carry, once you've exhausted the PIP for that vehicle, and if they don't have PIP, you've exhausted it already. We just need to get a letter from that insurance company that confirms, hey, no PIP here, not required in this state. We'll open a claim and you'll have access to that coverage for your injuries, for your time you missed from work, whatever the scenario may be, because all of these are different. Same applies with your underinsured motorist coverage. Regardless of the policy limits on the vehicle you're in, especially if you have the enhanced underinsured motorist coverage, which you now on newer policies have to waive it, which I highly recommend that you do not waive enhanced UIM, do not waive PIP. These are things that I've said hundreds of times on various episodes of the podcast and other content that I have on my website. More so the PIP thing, because PIP has been here forever and waivable for a long time, longer than I've been in this profession. The enhanced UIM is newer. Be sure to take a look at those. It's something that I will default to do if I'm doing one of those free insurance evaluations for you, but it's something that you could easily look at yourself and say, hey, it's enhanced or it's not enhanced, or ask your agent. If you don't have an agent, get an agent, somebody live, somebody local that can take care of you, answer questions, be held accountable when there are surprises in the claim situation. So be sure to take a look at that, but understand that the things that you're building on your policy are going to protect you even if you're not in that vehicle. And that's really the lesson for today. So make sure that you're taking a look at your own insurance policy. It's something that I have harped on and preached about hundreds of times and probably will never stop doing. Even if I retire, I'll still talk to people about how important their auto insurance is, because it truly, truly is. It's the only thing that you can really do to guarantee that, hey, I think if there were a situation that were going to take me out for an extended period of time, this is what that time is worth to me. And you can make sure that the limits of your underinsured motorist coverage cover at least that. And you also want to add in not just the fact that you lose all that time, but there's a cost associated with the medical element that goes with those injuries and getting better. So make sure that's included as well. And obviously in these consults that I do where I won't sell you insurance because I don't have an insurance license, but I'll talk to you about these scenarios. I see hundreds of these every year. I have a really good idea of, hey, this kind of medical care is going to cost you X, Y, and Z. So make sure that's factored in. Obviously, we've given tons of advice about using your health insurance first. We're not going to get overly complicated on an episode of the podcast that's designated to let you know that your insurance policy follows you no matter where you go. So that's all the time I have for this week. As always, if you've got a topic for the podcast, shoot us an email, info@bowerslawmd.com. This topic is kind of sort of related to a question that we received that somebody asked us to talk about. It's not word for word. We kind of reframed it to give a more general, it applies to a lot more people than the specific question that we were given, but thanks for sending this in. Obviously, if you do so, make sure you mention that you want it on the podcast so that we mention it, even if we reframe the scenario, because the person who sent me the question certainly got the answer to their question in this podcast episode even more because of making it a little bit more generic and applicable to more situations. So that's what we do. And as always, if you're looking for some of that information on a specific topic and you want to find an old episode, go to bowerslawmd.com. Right up at the top, that tab there that says podcast, click that. It's going to give you all of the old episodes. I think they're searchable, tons of topics, all sorts of great insurance guidance. And you're always welcome to reach out for one of those free insurance reviews, because that's something that I'm always going to do, and it's always going to be free. And then you just take that information and do with it what you want, because there's no sales pitch. I don't have the ability to sell you auto insurance, not here, not in-house. And don't forget, free community shredding event coming up later this month. That is June 27th at Singerly Fire Company, brought to you by Moon Air, Steve Simmons State Farm, our office, and of course, my guy Surf Pro, who really made some magic happen at this office when we had the break and the flood. So be safe out there. Be well, everybody. And we will see you next Monday right back here with a brand new topic.